I worked security at a corporate office building in downtown Houston back in 2018. It wasn't glamorous work. 12-hour overnight shifts, terrible coffee, flickering monitors, and endless silence. The building belonged to a financial consulting company that occupied most of the floors, but several smaller businesses rented offices throughout the tower. At night, the place emptied out almost completely except for maintenance staff, cleaning crews, and security. That's why I met Victor. Victor was the night janitor assigned to floors 8 through 11. The first thing I noticed about him was how quiet he was. Not shy, quiet. There's a difference. Shy people still react when you talk to them. They smile awkwardly. They nod. They acknowledge your existence. Victor barely did any of that. Tall guy, maybe late 50s. Balding, heavy dark circles under his eyes. He moved slowly, dragging his mop bucket through the halls like it weighed 100 pounds. Everyone else on the night crew thought he was weird, but I actually liked him. He never caused problems. Every night around 1:30 a.m., he'd stop by the lobby vending machine, buy a black coffee and peanut crackers, then sit silently for exactly 15 minutes before going back upstairs. Always 15 minutes. Always. At first I didn't think much about it, until the complaints started. Employees from the accounting firm on floor 9 began reporting strange things. Computer monitors turning on after shutdown. Cabinet doors left open. Bathroom sinks running. At first, management blamed the cleaning crew. Then one of the employees claimed she saw someone standing inside the office after hours. She described a bald man wearing dark coveralls. The problem was, Victor's time log showed he wasn't supposed to be on floor 9 during those hours. The building manager asked me to review security footage, and that's where things started getting bad. The cameras on floor 9 had no audio, but the footage still bothered me. At exactly 2:14 a.m. every night, Victor would enter the hallway carrying his mop bucket. Then he'd stop outside suite 914, just stand there, completely motionless, for several minutes, sometimes 10, sometimes longer. Then he'd slowly turn his head toward the camera and stare directly into it, every single night. I asked him about it during his break. He looked genuinely confused. Suite 914, he asked. Yeah, I said, you staying outside it every night. He shook his head. I never cleaned 914. I laughed. You on camera, man. But he didn't laugh back. His expression changed. Not defensive, scared. He quietly asked to see the footage. So I pulled it up. I'll never forget his reaction. Victor leaned toward the monitor. His face slowly lost color. Then he whispered something. Not again. I asked what he meant. He didn't answer. Instead, he abruptly stood up and left the security office. That night, around 3:40 a.m., every camera on floor 9 went offline simultaneously. All 8 of them. I thought it was a system glitch until motion alerts started triggering across the floor, one after another. Conference room, hallway, break room, storage closet. Something was moving through the office.
Control, this is Unit 4. I've arrived on 9.
I radioed
The
Victor.
atmosphere is thick and the
No
emergency
response.
lights are active.
I radioed the backup janitor.
Control,
Nothing.
this is Unit 4.
So I
I've
took the
arrived on
elevator
9.
up myself.
The atmosphere is thick and
The
the
moment the
emergency
doors
lights are
opened on
active.
floor
Requesting
9,
backup.
I knew something was wrong.
Control,
The
this is
hallway
Unit
lights
4.
were off.
I've arrived on 9.
Only the
atmosphere
emergency
is
lights
thick and the
remained,
emergency lights are
casting
active.
everything in this
Requesting
dim reddish
backup.
glow. The floor
Control,
smelled
this
wet,
is Unit 4.
not
I've
like
arrived
cleaning
on
chemicals.
9. The atmosphere is
Like
thick
mildew,
and the emergency lights are
rot.
active. Requesting
I
backup.
called out for Victor. No answer. Then I heard a sound farther down the hall. Dragging, slow scraping, like something heavy being pulled across carpet. I followed it, past empty cubicles, past dark offices, until I reached suite 914. The door was open. Inside, the lights flickered weakly. The office had been abandoned for months due to water damage. No furniture, no computers, nothing, except Victor's mop bucket sitting in the center of the room. Victor himself, standing perfectly still against the far wall, facing the corner. I called his name, no reaction. Then I noticed something. He wasn't alone. There was someone else standing in the opposite corner. A second man. At first I thought it was another janitor, but the angle was wrong. The proportions were wrong. It looked almost identical to Victor, except taller. Too tall. His arms hung nearly to his knees. And his face, I still can't explain the face. It looked stretched, like wet skin pulled tightly over bone. The thing slowly tilted his head toward me. Then Victor finally spoke, without turning around. Don't let it see your eyes. The thing smiled. I know how insane that sounds, but it smiled, not naturally. His mouth split too wide, farther than a human mouth should. I backed toward the door. Light suddenly died. Complete darkness. Then footsteps. Fast footsteps. Rushing directly toward me. I bolted. I don't remember making it back to the elevator. I just remember slamming the close button repeatedly while hearing something sprinting through the hallway. Something barefoot. The elevator doors closed just before the roof. I caught a glimpse of it in the gap. Its face was inches from the door. Smiling. The next morning, Victor was gone. No resignation, no call, no trace.
What is that?
Assumed he quit. But here's the worst part. When maintenance finally
God, look
opened,
at the
Suite
pictures.
914 later that week.
What is that?
Hidden behind the damaged drywall. An old employee locker.
Oh God, look at the
Inside
pictures.
with dozens of photographs.
What is that?
All of it. Different ages, different decades.
Oh God, look
Some
at the
pictures look like
pictures.
they were from the 1980s. Some older. In every photo, Victor stood beside the same impossibly tall man. Always smiling, always blurry. The oldest photo was dated 1961. Victor looked exactly the same. I quit 2 days later. A few months after leaving that job, I woke up around 2:14 a.m. to a notification on my phone. The office building's old security app was still connected to my account. One camera had activated floor 9, suite 914. I opened the feed. The room was dark, empty. The camera slowly zoomed toward the corner. And there he was, Victor, standing motionless, facing the wall, not moving, until his head slowly turned toward the camera. And behind him, something taller moved in the darkness. The feed cut to black. I deleted the app, but sometimes around 2:14 inches the morning, I still wake up hearing what sounds like a mop bucket rolling slowly across concrete right outside my apartment door. In 2021, I got hired at a medical billing company outside Atlanta. The pay wasn't amazing, but after getting laid off during the pandemic, I was desperate. The building itself was strange from the beginning. No windows. Everything inside was beige. The lighting buzzed constantly. And despite employing over 100 people, the place was almost completely silent.
They say
all
the
day.
office is a second
Nobody
home,
talked much.
but this place felt more like a
Nobody
tomb,
laughed.
especially
Even
when you knew
during lunch
someone
breaks,
was always watching.
Employees mostly sat alone.
They say the
I
office is a
figured it
second
was
home,
just a
but this
depressing
place felt more
office
like a
culture.
tomb, especially
met
when you knew
Lorraine
someone
from
was
Human
always
Resources.
watching.
Lorraine looked normal enough. Mid-40s, short blonde hair, glasses, soft voice. But every employee reacted strangely around her. The moment she entered a room, conversation stopped. People avoided eye contact. One guy literally stood up and left the break room when she walked in. I asked another coworker named Melissa what Lorraine's deal was. Melissa looked nervous immediately. Then she quietly said, "Just don't let her call you into her office after hours." I laughed. Melissa didn't. That same week, employee named Darren got fired. Nobody seemed surprised. What bothered me was how suddenly it happened. Darren had been joking with us during lunch. Then around 4:30 p.m., Lorraine appeared beside his cubicle. She smiled, asked him to come with her. That was it. 10 minutes later, Darren returned pale as a ghost. He packed his things silently and left without saying goodbye. The next day, his employee profile vanished entirely. Not disabled, deleted.
The narrator slowly pushes
never
open
worked here.
Lorraine's office door
Melissa told me
and
that happened a
freezes
lot.
in shock.
People disappeared constantly. Sometimes
The
nobody
narrator
even announced
slowly
it.
pushes open Lorraine's
desk would
office
simply
door
be empty
and
the next
freezes
morning.
in shock.
I asked why nobody questioned it. Melissa looked
The
at me
narrator
carefully.
slowly pushes open
lean
Lorraine's
closer,
office door and
because Lorraine
freezes
knows
in
things
shock.
he shouldn't. That
They
sentence
said
stuck
the
with me.
archive was
A
endless.
week later,
They
I
were
found
right.
out what she meant.
Every
I
folder,
stayed
a
late
life
finishing
documented
insurance
and
claims.
forgotten.
Around
They
8
said the
p.m.,
archive was
almost
endless.
Everyone had left except
They
a
were
few
right.
workers in another department.
Every folder,
I was
a
alone
life
in my
documented
section
and
when I heard
forgotten.
heels clicking behind
They
me.
said the archive was
Lorraine,
endless.
She
They were
smiled
right.
politely.
Every folder,
very
a
hard, she
life
said.
documented and
Something
forgotten.
about her voice made my skin crawl. Not
This is
the tone,
Darren's file.
the rhythm,
Medical documents,
like
therapy
she
notes,
carefully
even his
practiced
bank
sounding
records.
human. She asked me to stop by her office before leaving.
This is Darren's file.
I immediately
Medical
remembered
documents,
Melissa's warning,
therapy notes,
but
even his
refusing
bank
HR
records.
felt risky. So around 8:30 p.m.,
This
I
is
walked to
Darren's
her
file.
office near the
Medical
rear
documents, therapy
lights
notes,
back
even
there
his
were
bank
dimmer.
records.
hallway. Several offices sat
I've been
empty.
searching these endless
Lorraine's door
files
was
for what
slightly
feels
open.
like years, but the
I
deeper
knocked.
I go,
No response. So I pushed the door open.
I've been searching these
And
endless
froze.
files for what feels
office
like
was
years,
enormous.
but the deeper I
Far
go,
bigger than it should have been. The room extended deep into
I've been
darkness beyond
searching
the
these
reach of the
endless
overhead
files
light.
for what feels like
At first, I
years,
thought
but
I
the
was
deeper I go.
disoriented. Then I realized something impossible. The back wall wasn't there. The office kept going. Rows and rows of filing cabinets stretched endlessly into the dark. I heard Lorraine speaking somewhere inside. Come in. I should have left. Instead, curiosity got the better of me. I walked inside. The air felt colder immediately. The deeper I went, the quieter everything became. Eventually, I could no longer hear the office building at all. No phones, no air conditioning, nothing. Just silence. Then I saw the folders, thousands of them. Each cabinet drawer contained a profile, not just current employees, former employees, dead employees.
How long have I been running? Days, weeks. Lorraine is always there, smiling, always getting closer.
Others
know where you
contained
are.
handwritten
We're
notes.
waiting.
How long have I been
pulled
running?
one open.
Days, weeks.
Inside
Lorraine
was
is
a
always
manila
there,
folder
smiling,
labeled
always getting
with
closer.
Darren's name.
We know where
There
you
were
are.
pages
We're
describing
waiting.
things nobody
How long
should
have
know.
I been running? Days,
Medical records,
weeks. Lorraine is always
private
there,
conversations,
smiling, always getting closer.
Photos taken through his
We know where
apartment
you are.
window,
We're waiting.
bank statements, therapy notes. At the very end was a single line written in red ink, unsuitable for continued observation. I dropped the file, then I heard Lorraine behind me. You shouldn't touch those. I spun around. She stood several feet away,
The
smiling.
workspace was completely
But something
clean,
was horribly wrong with her
abandoned.
face. Her expression never changed when she spoke. Her mouth stayed
The
frozen,
workspace was completely
mannequin,
clean, abandoned.
only her voice moved. You've adjusted well here, she said. I backed away.
The
What is
workspace
this
was
place?
completely clean,
Lorraine tilted
abandoned.
her head. Then she asked, do you know how many versions of a person exist? I didn't answer. She stepped closer. Workplace behavior reveals everything eventually. Fear, anger, desperation, weakness. Humans expose themselves when confined together long enough. The fluorescent light flickered, and for one split second, her face changed. I saw something underneath. Not skin, not human. A gray, featureless surface with moving shapes beneath it, like worms under wet fabric. I stumbled backward into a cabinet. Folders spilled everywhere, photos scattered across the floor, and every single photo showed terrified employees staring directly at the camera. Some crying, some restrained, some clearly injured. Lorraine sighed. You were doing so well. Then all the filing cabinets around me began opening simultaneously, one after another. Slam, slam, slam. Thousands of doors extending into darkness. And from inside
How
them,
long have I been running?
whispering,
Days, weeks.
human
Lorraine is
whispering.
always there, smiling,
Dozens
always
of
getting
voices.
closer.
We know
maybe
where you
hundreds.
are. We're waiting.
begging,
How long have I been running?
crying,
Days, weeks.
repeating names.
Lorraine is always there, smiling,
ran.
always getting closer.
I didn't care if I
We know
looked
where you
insane.
are. We're waiting.
I sprinted
How
through
long
the
have I been
endless
running?
rows of
Days,
cabinets while
weeks.
Lorraine calmly
Lorraine is
walked
always
behind
there,
me.
smiling, always
Not
getting
chasing,
closer.
We know
walking,
where you are. We're waiting.
still smiling. Eventually, I saw the office doorway ahead. I burst into the hallway and slammed the door behind me. The hallway was normal again. Small, quiet. I could hear air conditioning, phones, distant conversations. I looked back
The
at Lorraine's
workspace
office.
was completely
The
clean.
room was tiny,
Abandoned.
completely normal size, just a standard HR office.
The
Lorraine sat
workspace was
calmly at her
completely
desk,
clean. Abandoned.
smiling, as if nothing happened. The next day, Melissa's desk was empty.
The workspace was
No one
completely
mentioned her.
clean.
I
Abandoned.
asked where she went. People looked confused. One coworker told me no employee named Melissa had ever worked there. That afternoon, I went to the parking garage to leave early. As I reached my car, I noticed a yellow sticky note under my windshield wiper. It read, "You looked inside." Below that was a time, 8:30 p.m. And underneath it, "Return to HR." I never went back. I quit by email that night. But here's the disturbing part.
I thought I
About
was
6
alone.
months later,
but
I
the
received
boxes
a large
proved
envelope with no
otherwise.
return address.
Every shadow.
Inside was an
every
employee
moment.
file.
I
Mine,
thought I was alone.
hundreds of pages.
But the boxes
Photos
proved
of me
otherwise.
sleeping.
Every
Photos
shadow,
inside my apartment.
Every moment.
Medical records I never shared.
I thought I was alone.
Private text
But
messages.
the boxes proved
Internet
otherwise.
history. And on the
Every
last
shadow,
page,
every
written in
moment,
red ink,
they know
observation
everything.
ongoing. I moved states after that, changed jobs, changed phone numbers. But every now and then, I'll notice a blonde woman standing somewhere nearby. At a grocery store, across a parking lot, inside a crowd, always smiling, always watching. And once, very recently, I received an email from an unknown sender. The subject line simply said, "Annual Performance Review." I worked third shift at a warehouse distribution center in Ohio for nearly 4 years. The place operated 24 hours a day, shipping electronics across the country. Night shift was brutal. Forklifts moving constantly, machines screaming, huge empty aisles disappearing into darkness. Most people lasted maybe 3 months before quitting. But one guy had apparently worked there forever. His name was Carl. Everyone knew Carl. Nobody liked Carl. And nobody understood Carl. He was old, not elderly exactly, but worn down, gray skin, sunken eyes, greasy hair. He smelled like mildew and cigarettes. Carl never spoke unless absolutely necessary. He just sat in the break room every night drinking coffee. That's all he ever seemed to do. Coffee. Every time you walked into the break room, Carl was there. No matter the hour. 11 p.m., 2 a.m., 5 a.m. Didn't matter. He sat at the same table staring into a styrofoam cup. At first I assumed he worked different areas during the shift. Then one night I asked my supervisor about him. My supervisor looked uncomfortable. Then he said something strange. "Don't bother Carl. That doesn't answer my question," I said. The supervisor sighed. "He's been here longer than anyone." "How long?" He hesitated, then quietly said, "Since before me." That didn't sound weird until I learned the supervisor had worked there 22 years. A few weeks later, I noticed something odd. Carl never clocked in, ever. I checked the scheduling system. No Carl, no employee ID, nothing. Yet management acted like he belonged there. One night during lunch break, I finally sat across from him. Up close, he looked even worse. His skin had this grayish tint like wet paper. And his eyes looked cloudy, almost blind. I tried making conversation, no response. Then I jokingly asked, "So, do you actually work here?" Carl slowly looked up. For several seconds, he just stared at me. Then he whispered, "You shouldn't stay after the whistle." I frowned. What whistle? Carl looked back down at his coffee. You'll hear it. That was all he said. About a month later, we had a major snowstorm.
The storm
After night
outside was
crew
nothing
called out,
compared to the one brewing
management
within these
forced the rest
walls.
of us into overtime.
We kept moving, but the
By
cold
4 a.m.,
seeped into
the
everything.
warehouse felt
The
wrong.
storm outside
Too
was
quiet.
nothing compared to the one
Several
brewing within
conveyor
these
lines
walls.
shut down due to
We kept
staffing
moving,
shortages.
but the cold
Huge
seeped
sections
into
of the building
everything.
sat dark and empty.
Everything stopped!
Around 4:40 a.m.,
Get it out of
fire
here!
alarm
Run!
suddenly went off. Not loud, just one long, distorted tone,
Everything
like
stopped!
a whistle. Every
Get it
worker
out of here!
froze.
Run!
Then something bizarre happened. Several older employees immediately
Everything
started
stopped!
leaving, not evacuating.
Get it out of here! Run!
Leaving fast. One woman abandoned her forklift while it was still running. I asked what was happening. Nobody answered. Then I saw Carl standing in the break room doorway, watching me. He slowly shook his head. The whistle sounded again, longer this time. The warehouse lights dimmed, and every machine in the building shut off simultaneously. Silence. Complete silence. If you've never been inside a massive warehouse after all the machinery stopped, it's horrifying. The silence feels unnatural, like the building itself is dead. Then came the footsteps, far away at first, heavy, metallic, echoing through the aisles. Clang, clang, clang. Something huge was walking inside the warehouse. I thought maybe it was maintenance equipment, until I saw the shadows. At the far end of aisle 14, something impossibly tall moved past the shelves. Too tall for a human. Its head nearly reached the ceiling pipes, and it was dragging something behind it. Carl suddenly grabbed my arm. His grip was freezing cold. Don't let it count you. Before I could ask what that meant, the whistle sounded a third time, and overhead emergency lights turned on. Red lights. The entire warehouse glowed dark crimson. Then I heard another sound. Breathing. Massive breathing. Close. Very close. I looked between the shelves and saw it. I still have nightmares about that thing. It looked vaguely human only because it had arms and legs. That's where the similarities ended. His body was wrapped in filthy reflective safety material like melted construction gear fused directly into skin. His arms hung unnaturally low, and where his face should have been, there was only smooth flesh. No eyes, no nose, no mouth, except for one vertical slit that slowly opened across his head. Inside were rows of moving teeth. The thing tilted his head toward me. Then the slit widened, and it made the whistle sound. Not mechanical. Organic. Carl shoved me hard behind a forklift. Stay down, he hissed. The creature moved through the aisle slowly, dragging chains behind it. Every few seconds, it would stop and whistle, then continue. As it passed nearby, I noticed something hanging from the chains. Employee badges. Hundreds of them. Old, rusty, some covered in dark stains. The creature paused. Its head turned directly toward our hiding spot. Carl whispered, "It remembers workers who stay too long." The creature began moving closer. Slowly, deliberately. Carl suddenly stood up. "No," he whispered. The thing froze. Carl stepped into the aisle. For the first time, I noticed his employee vest. It was ancient. The company logo hadn't been used in decades.
I'm sorry, kid.
Carl looked at me,
Looks like this
and
is the end of the
smiled
line
sadly.
for me.
Then he said, "I missed the whistle." The creature
I'm
lunged,
sorry, kid.
not running.
Looks like this is
Not
the end
walking.
of the line for me.
It just appeared in front of him instantly. The chains wrapped around Carl's
He
body.
just let it
He
happen.
didn't scream.
My poor
He just
Carl.
looked tired.
The
The
shadows
creature
have him
dragged
now.
him away into the darkness between the shelves. The whistle echoed one final time. Then everything went silent. A few moments later,
Did
the
you
normal
see the game
warehouse
last
lights
night?
came
Yeah,
back on.
awesome. Grab that pallet for me.
Machines restarted. Managers returned.
I've got the manifest right here.
And everybody acted like nothing happened. I told my supervisor what I saw. He stared at me for a long time, then quietly said, "You should go home." The next night, I came back expecting answers. Instead, the break room was normal, empty, no call, no sign he'd ever existed. I asked newer employees about him. None of them knew who I meant.